Hey everybody. I'm just going to be checking in, finishing up a painting session. I had a little chunk of time, about an hour and a half block, that I was slipping in painting. I'm always ready to paint. I don't worry so much about things being perfectly organized all the time because then I would never paint. So today, as you jump on, you will be hearing me just sort of going over the things that I've been working on, my projects this week. Hi, Deborah, welcome. And showing you some different ideas. I'm hashing out different color palettes I'm trying, where I got tripped up, where I'm getting tripped up, where I intend on going. So just sort of a check-in like that. This week I started to work on a bunch of paper pieces. I'm trying to get a big, decent sized collection of paper works in time for the holidays because they make really great gifts. And they are way more affordable for most people. So in between my bigger ones, I work on some paper works. And would I use this opportunity as a chance to experiment, to try new things, to try out new color palette ideas or some new composition ideas. And there's something about working on paper that just allows me to be more free, more relaxed, right? Like there's this idea I can just throw it out much easier if than if I'm working on a wood panel or a canvas or a gesso board. It's something that, is a little bit more hardy and also more costly. So even though I rarely throw out a paper piece, it's just like a mindset that it helps me get into. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you. We'll start with this one right here. So these little guys are this idea that I've been, has been floating around in my brain. There's always ideas floating. And then it's just a matter if I'm already working on something. I'm not going to probably interrupt that. Hopefully it sticks around in that brain long enough for it to get some playtime. Welcome, Miranda. So this was like, I love clothing, and I've also been seeing a lot of like colorful, bright flowers and greenery like laid out on a white backdrop. And so I knew that I wanted to experiment with that in an abstract way. And I finally got around to it. And just adding a bit more color than I typically do. And what I that's the wrong way to say it. I'm just on these ones, I'm touching more of the color wheel than I normally do with these oranges and yellows, which I don't often use. I recently did three custom works for somebody, and they wanted yellow and gray. So I worked a lot with yellows, and it just like it inspired me to go ahead and play with that. And especially this was like the perfect way to play with it because in these images I have in my head, there's all of the colors. So here are, here's two, and here we go. There's the other two. So there's about four in this little paper series. Welcome, Shumangishkar. I think I said that right. Welcome. And these little ones, they go really nice when they have a mat around them in a frame, in a larger frame. So that's one color palette I'm working with, experimenting. This next one, so Actually, they're a little wet. I'm actively working on these. They, you know, the color, I've strayed away from the original thought. Not by a lot, but there's a little bit more of a intuitive flow happening here. So I wanted to continue on with exploring the colors you'll see in a more neutral based bohemian look in a room where there's lots of neutrals and whites, and then you have the green plants, and then maybe you'll have like a coral or an orange like accent, or some accent pieces to add in another color. I wound up adding a lot more pinks than I originally planned because it wasn't feeling right. And so you kind of, when you try something new as an artist, you'll be like trekking along there and it just doesn't feel right, because even though you are attracted to those colors per se in an image, in a room, in clothing, when you're working, there are colors you have a visceral connection to. Hello, Pansy Elizabeth, welcome. And you'll sometimes find that you just feel the urge to put them into for your own sanity, right? Like, because it just doesn't feel right. These are not completely done. The other thing that I really like is, so I did add some orange, which I normally stay away from, but I kept some of it here, even after I lightened and brightened and whitened. But what I added that I was really not intending was this like turquoisey color, just teensy dabs, because I had some left over from here and it was sitting right next to me on my palette, and it was right next to the orange that I had on here, and it just, the vibration coming off of it was just gorgeous. And I was like, all right, like this wasn't planned, but I have to stay open to where I'm being guided and what my desires are, because they're in my mind and in my heart, they're the divine guidance, even when I'm painting. So there are those. I'm also playing with the idea of adding a little light phthalo green, which I say playing, but yeah, I'm definitely going to. So sometimes you want to be really restrained and it doesn't always work out. Okay, so the other two schemes I'm working on are playing with this blue background, and it's going to be some sort of floral, which is different for me in terms of I've never really started with the idea of creating a floral. It just happens along the way, and here I'm starting with that, and who knows, it might not happen along the way. So that's the adventure of painting. That's the fun in it, and that's where the magic happens, when you're just open to possibility. So here I'm playing with a blue background, and here I'm playing with this like I would say like in the coral family background, and I'm still building these up, right? So these are still amongst the first layers. We're gonna add some lighter layers on top here and brighter. So this is gonna be lightened and brightened, and I haven't decided if I'm going to add my typical white to this. It probably will be in the off-white family, will be the lightest. This is how I develop a broad range of values, even if the majority of it, like in these, is ending up so light, right? you'll still notice that there's a lot of different values here, even just teensy bits, right? So I get that. I achieve that by starting really dark. Once my flat background is laid in, if I'm laying in a negative space, I'm talking about on top of that. And then I kind of move up. But if perhaps I'm like to the light stage, but I realize, oh, hey, I really need some more darks. I'm not afraid to go back. It's not like an absolute, right? It doesn't absolutely have to be dark to light, but it can be, it's really more of a weaving, but starting with dark. Okay, so I think, oh, and then there's a little version of this with the blue background. And so these are already like colors that I'm not used to using. Some of them I am, but not in this way, not with each other. So we'll see how much of that stays. Welcome, Amanda. So there's sort of game that happens as an artist where you have your go-tos, the things that your hands just want to do, the colors that your heart wants. And then you typically, if you're a creative, right, like you're always getting new ideas, you're always being delighted by new colors and new compositions and new lines and inspiration. So you'll want to go experiment with that, and you'll have this idea of how that's going to work out. And it doesn't work out exactly that way because you're weaving the new ideas with what's already existing in your creative realm, in your creative skill set, and your creative preferences. And that's why it's totally okay to be inspired by other people's art, because it will always be yours, because it's always going to be through your lens. So yeah, that's what we have going on this week in terms of what I'm working on. I have a big piece I really want to get to, but I'm just deciding whether I'm going to stretch it first or just start painting on it. And I think that's it. So today's the last day to get any of the show prices that if you saw my live art show a couple of nights ago, today's the last day to get those prices on them. And otherwise they're gonna go up to full price when I get around to putting them on the site. So if you saw that video and there's one that you love, message me to see if it's still available, and we'll get that all squared away. And if nobody has any other questions about the paperworks, then I'm gonna get going. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, and I will see you soon.